it is because of the Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Hallelujah. My name is Evangelist Ella, and I'm here today along with Family God Building Ministries. So glad to be here. My name is Araminta Ross. I'm known as Manta for short. Manta, or Mentee as they call me, stands for provider. It stands for lofty one. It stands for protector. Now those sound like God's names, don't they? Yes, they do. Now I don't mind because I believe in God. I trust him with all my heart and soul. So when they give me them names, I was happy about it when I found out what they mean. Araminta. That was my slave name. Harriet is my free name. Harriet was my mother's name. And when I became free, that's the name I took. They give you a choice, when you become free. Choose you a new name. Y'all know God did the same thing in the Bible? When he made some of them free, he gave them a new name. Abram went from Abram to Abraham. Sarah from Sarai to Sarah. Sarai. We all, when we come, and we get a good new name too when we get coming over to him. New name up in heaven. 2 names, I didn't mind having them. I was born in 1820, they tell me. Somewhere around that time, because it really wasn't important. Didn't matter. We was like cattle, being slaves. You don't care when no cow is born, when no horse is born, when no donkey is born. All you care about when he is strong enough to work, big enough to do your labor. And that's the way it was back then with us. We were slaves. We didn't have no human rights. And they didn't care none about us and how we felt. But such was the way of life. Thank God it ain't still that way today. In 1820, when I was born, my parents had to turn around and go right back to work. They couldn't stay there and just take care of me like they wanted to. Shortly, they was back out there in the fields. And I had somebody watching me and taking care of me like they supposed to. But as soon as I was big enough, they sent me to work. Now, I remember my earliest recollection was when I looked up and I was picking up them peas and pulling them pods, and I hear all this noise and all this screaming, and I see my 2 sisters being pulled off yonder by a bunch of strange men with the ropes round their hand. It was taking them off to the chain gang. That was the way of life for a slave. You got sold off without no notice. Didn't even have a chance to say goodbye. I remember standing there in shock, watching them men take my family members down that road, and all I could do is pray. God, because we've been taught about God, you see. We used to sing them gospel songs in the field to keep our strength up and to keep our sanity. And all I could do is pray and say, God, don't never let me be sold off like that to nobody. And I had to go on back to work. Now, I was a little girl, even 5 years old. I had to work. And I had to be responsible. I had to take care of my sister's baby and rock her and keep that baby happy. And if that baby cried, I got a whooping. I ain't say I got no spanking. I got a whooping. And that baby one day went to crying and went to crying and went to crying, and it wouldn't shut up. And the baby wouldn't shut up. So I was rocking that cradle and rocking Master wife looked up at me, and she went running for the rawhide. And I said, oh, Lord, not the rawhide. That thing cut your skin, hurt you bad. And she whipped me, told me, go clean that house. That was another one of my jobs at 5 years old. Had to keep her house clean and it better not too much to miss a spot. It was hard work for a little old one, but I was just glad not to have to be out there in the fields with the grown folks. Hard work as a slave, and you better not never say you're tired and you want to rest. You'd have sure find quickly why you should have never say that. When they got through with you, you'd be glad to work till the sun come down. And sometimes they do that. Master say he had a deadline and he just mad at you. He make you work all day and then you gotta work all night too till he say stop. I used to pray all day, every day for that beast called slavery. Some of them people wasn't so bad, but it was a system. And the neighbors held them accountable to stay with the system. They couldn't be too nice to couldn't let me be too free. None of that. You had to get permission for everything. Even so much to get married. That was a hard life. I was in the house one day, and I was taking care of that baby. And right there, Master and his wife was in an argument. And she had her back turned. And I look on that table and I see something I ain't never had a day in my life. Now I heard about it. It's that old white powdery stuff they call sugar. And it's right there on the table, right in front of me. I say, her back turned. I bet you I could just get a little taste on my finger. Didn't know it was granules gonna fall right off. But I was so desperate and it was so pretty. It looked so nice. I just reached my hand in there and just got me a little taste on my finger. And Master wife turned around and caught me dead in the act. Oh, she hollered and went running for the rawhide. I said, oh, Lord, she gonna kill me now. That woman whooped me and whooped me and whooped me that I couldn't take it no more. I went running out the door and I ran to the barn and I died behind the hay. And I stayed there and I stayed there and I stayed there and I stayed there. 5 long days with no food and no water. Because I knew she was going to kill me if I go back in there. Well, halfway through the 5th day, I just couldn't take that no more. I thought I was going to die. So I snuck up from out of the hay and went on back to the house, knowing what was going to happen. That woman grabbed me and she beat me so unmercifully. Beat me and beat me and beat me till I had scars all over my back, all over my arms and my legs. And, you know, I look back on it. I had all them scars from that whipping. But they didn't compare to the scars that slavery put in my mind. And every day I think about how hard this life was. How it's done fair to me, not fair, but not fair to the other good people who wanted to see some of us be free. By the time I was 12, they went to loaning me out to other people and get money for it and all. And one of the men I got loaned out to, he wasn't the nicest thing you ever want to meet. No, he wasn't. It was cold and winter, icy, and that man sent me out to the river to collect muskrats for him. I had to stand bare feet in the cold, icy river, and I got sick over and over and over again. Well, that man took me back to Massa and said, she ain't no blame good. I don't want her no more. And the word went shed abroad and got all over everywhere. And they wouldn't pay him no more for me to come nowhere and work. So Massa took me, though I was young, and put me out there as a field hand. And I had to work in the sun all day, all evening, till whenever he say stop, because he wasn't happy with me. By the time I was 14, one day, Massa sent me to the store to collect the victuals and the groceries and things. And I'm in that store, and in come running this 14-year-old boy named Ben. And he run in like somebody who done see the ghost. His eyes this big, and he looking all around, and he panicking, and I was like, what's going on? And he run up to me. He said, I'm running. I'll get out of here, I'm running. I say, oh Lord, they're gonna kill him if they catch him. Well, I always been wanting to stand up to what's not right. And I stood up to that store master, and I looked at him. And he said to me, God, grab that boy and wrestle him down. Don't you let him get out that door. Well, something swelled up in me. I can't tell you what it was. I looked at that man and I went off on him. I went to talking and hiding. You must be crazy. You think I'm going to hold this boy for you? You evil thing. You've been evil from your grandmammas. And I caught myself. Well, before I could utter another word, that man had grabbed this metal weight off the table and flung it at me. Bam! Hit me right in the head. Cracked my skull. I'm just bleeding with blood running down. I'm dizzy. And I thought I was going to die. Well, Ben, he take off and hit the door. He go to running. They took me on home because I couldn't hardly walk. I couldn't see too well. I was just in a mess. I went on home. Old master let me rest a couple of hours and then put me back out there in the field. Cracked skull and all. And I worked and I got mad. I say, this ain't right. This ain't God's will. And I worked and I worked and I worked. But I tell you something, I went to falling out. Got one of them that sleeping sickness come over me. And I'd be working all of a sudden, no warning, just boom, down I go. And I wake up, I don't know where I'm at, I don't know what's happening. Then for a few minutes, then it come to me. I'm still in slavery. Now, I made up my mind up in them time there that there was two things that this life here was either going to give me or I was going to take it. And them two things was either freedom or death. And rightly, I didn't care which one it ended up being. There were some people down the road. They're very kindly folks. They were all white folks, spiritual. They were Quakers. There's a few folks that were free, that were black, that wanted to try to be in with them, but that just didn't work out too well, so they just stayed separated. But them Quakers let us know they had a secret called the Underground Railroad. And this one Quaker woman come up to me with all these chickens running out of her hand and jumped down with the running, and she didn't even run after chickens. She come up to me with the slave watcher watching us and that whip in his hand. She tell me I live in the house down on the road on the right-hand side with the green shutters. If you ever run away, you come there, I'll help you. I couldn't believe my ears. It's like heaven had to come down. There's a way out of this. I say, Lord, let it be real, God. Help me, Jesus. Help me understand this. So I went on down one night. I took off and I went to running. I begged my brothers to come go with me. And they got on down there, I guess, about the equivalent of maybe 3 or 4 blocks. And they got scared. They turned around and ran back off and left me out there. And they called me and begged me to come. I said, I can't do it. I can't do it no And they took off running one way, and I took off running another way. And I ran to that woman's house. I said, give me a ticket. Give me a ticket on the railroad. Give me a ticket. She said, no, baby, it's no ticket. I said, where is that? Under the house? Wait, what y'all done with? Where the train? She said, baby, ain't no real train. It's a system of safety for runaway slaves where you go from house to house. But how did I get there? She said, we show you which one to go to next. But you can't never tell a soul. So she give me some victuals, a handful of food and in a sack, and she pushed me out the door, and I go running right the way she told me to go. And when I got there, they grabbed me and snatched me in. I knock on the door. I say, open the door. I need the train. I need the train. They snatched me in there so hard I didn't know what was going on. I thought maybe I was caught. They look at me and they give me some food, and then they bound it all up in the little rag thing, and they put me down underneath the thing, and they told me the way this thing operates. Then they turned around and they shoved me out the door and told me, run all night long, don't you stop for breath. So I ran and I ran and I ran and I ran. Went to the next house. They told me where to go to the next house and all of that. Sometimes during the daytime I had to hide in the woods. Oh, that wasn't no picnic. In them woods you had wolves and all kind of anything. And then sometimes I was like right there in the bushes when the massa and the bounty hunter come by. I almost got caught so many times. But God had a plan. And one thing he started doing when I got that crack on the head, but he started talking to me, giving me visions. I could understand his voice, and the vision would show me things, and I see something happening. I see a wild runaway horse, and I hear something say, shh. I'll look up, there go Massa right there. And I'm trembling like a leaf, but I don't dare breathe out loud. They kept on going, they missed me. God communicated with me that way. Communicated and communicated to well, I ran the Underground Railroad.
All right.
I got free, ran all the way from Massachusetts all the way up to Philadelphia, over 100 miles running. And I got free. I couldn't believe it. The sun looked like gold. I thought, am I losing my mind? I was free. I said, there's no way this is possible. But then I looked at my hands, see if they knew. I looked at my feet, see if they knew. I say, ain't nothing new here. Same old Minty. And then all of a sudden a smile came over my face.
All right.
And I was happy, y'all. I had freedom. I was happy. I wanted to jump down and kiss the ground. I was free. So I went and I worked and I did things that I used to do as a slave, but this time I got paid. It sure feels good to get paid, y'all. I got paid. I bought when I said this is a sweet life. Freedom. I got to go back and get my family. I said, God bless me with freedom. I got to go back and get them. They deserve it as well. So we had a code, a system of codes, and I sent word on back to travel all the way back and told them I was coming back for them, for my brothers. When I get back there, I got my brothers waiting. They met me about a half a yard up into the woods. And they had 12 people with them. I looked at all them strangers, how courageous they is. I said, Lord, only you could take a scared slave and make them want to run when they never would run before. So off we took, and we ran and we ran, and we made it all the way back. In going back, you know, you got some of them slaves, they realize they're about to get it, and they can't believe it. It's all their life they've been wanting, they can't believe it. And they freeze in fear. they gonna do as a free man. They ain't got master's money, master's land, master's nothing. They ain't got nothing. But they finna have freedom like master got freedom. It scared them. And then some of them got scared that when they get there, somebody gonna catch them and kill them and send them all the way back to master. So they turn around and start walking backwards, creeping away from me. Now, I stayed to the back all the time as the conductor of that railroad, because I didn't intend to lose not one soul. And when I see they was inching a little further to the back, I just slowed down myself and let them go ahead on. When they took off, I'll holler, "Ha!" I pull out my pistol. And I said, you either gonna die now or you gonna die at master's hand when you get back. But if you take another step, I'm gonna shoot you dead. And they knew I meant business. So they went to stepping back on up with us our way and took off. We all did. Ran for our lives. And I arrived back in Philadelphia again. Another 6 months, I couldn't be at peace. I heard the Lord talking to me. You got to go back. You got to go get the rest of them. You got to go back. What about maybe the next day or two, I get the news they get ready to sell my mom and daddy. So I took back off in a hurry. And I went and got my mama and my daddy. They told my daddy to strap the horses, strap the saddles on the horses. And he knew better, so he left the strap loose. So we took off in the stolen wagon, and we was gone. And here they come on them horses right behind us. But the horses slid out from under them, and bam, they hit the ground, and off we took the freedom. God was with us all the way. There were dogs, there were snakes, there was a quicksand in the water, there was all kind of things that we had to endure in order to make it. But our minds were made up. They give me a name for all that deliverance I'd done. They called me Moses. Moses was a deliverer in the Bible. Nobody knows how many people I helped deliver. I had lost count. Nobody tells I was a slave, because they may get sent back. So we don't know. Nobody knows how many there was. I had a bounty on my head that was pretty hefty. And I didn't care. I was still going to do the Lord's work.
All right now.
And after I had delivered so many slaves over the years, the Union Army come to me. And they want me to come work for them. The Union Army. They heard about all the secrets I know about nature and all these things. And they couldn't figure out how in the world I got past so many of their forces and all. But it was God telling me where to go and what to do. And I did just exactly what he told me. So I became a spy for the Union Army. I helped them deliver so many hundreds and hundreds of slaves, plantation by plantation. And then there was 100 black soldiers that come from somewhere that crossed over and joined us. Oh, we was getting mighty now. We was getting mighty now. When they come to me and ask me to lead the raids, I was about as shocked as anything. A woman, a black woman? Well, they hear it tell by how I used to dress like a man and how I could slide by and how I act like an old woman and with chickens and how I had 3 of them coming after me, getting ready to get me, and I rattled the chickens abroad and made the chickens run, and I go run around like a fool. Ah, my master chicken, my master chickens. I go running around and falling on the ground and rolling over. And them bounty hunters rolled and laughed so hard they forgot to even ask me for ID. I got away. That wasn't nobody but God to show me how to act like that. After a while, I got called by Betsy Ross. I hear tell they put her on the dollar bill already, though they trying not to put me on one. But she called me and asked me to help her with the women's suffrage. and I couldn't deny her. So I went and I helped them with their cause. And when I got older, I went and bought me a house. Yes, I did. And I went and got my parents earlier, and I took them and put them in that house, and I took care of my parents till they were old and died. Oh, what a joy that was for me to deliver them and give them a good life after all they've been through. I lived a free life for a good long time. Then I opened up a house for health care, free health care for sick folks who didn't have money. I didn't get paid for none of that, not even for leading the Union Army. But when I opened up that house and was able to help people get free health care, that just swelled my heart, because I knew, again, I was doing a good work for the Lord. Right. So here I say to you, gentlemen, ladies, girls, and fellas, don't you let nobody take your freedom from you, no matter what. I don't care what color. Your freedom is the second best thing you have to life. And I thank God for it. Give him a hand.
All right now. Awesome.
Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
Awesome. Okay.
All right. Well, you said something.